Let us go to the next question. This is from Corporation Bank PO 2011. If parking space is not available in office, park your vehicles in the mall and walk to the office. This is what the statement says. What are the assumptions? The mall is at a walkable distance from the office. The office does not, assumption 2 that we have to test is, the office does not allow visitors' vehicles in its premises. These are the two assumptions which we have to test. Again, we have to read carefully. If parking space is not available in the office, park your vehicles in the mall and walk to the office. The statement itself says, you walk to the office after parking. That means the distance must be within a walkable distance. Suppose the parking space is 20 kilometers away from the office. The statement would not say that you park your car and walk the distance. Therefore, the underlying current of assumption in the statement itself is the distance between the office and the mall is a walkable distance. Therefore, assumption 1 obviously is valid. That is a very simple one. Let us come to assumption 2. Assumption 2 only you have to be very careful. What does assumption 2 says? The office does not allow visitors' vehicles in its premises. Now go back to the statement and read carefully. The statement is generic. It does not make a distinction between visitors parking, employees parking, directors parking, owners parking. Such a distinction is not made. Simply the statement makes a generic statement which is applicable to all, which states the parking space is not, if parking space is not available in the office, park your vehicle in the mall and walk to the office. It does not say this is applicable only to visitors, this is applicable only to directors, this is applicable only to the employees. It doesn't make any distinction. But on the contrary, the statement says the office does not allow visitors' vehicles in its premises. How can you come to this conclusion when the statement does not make any distinction? Therefore, the assumption that the office does not allow visitors' vehicles in its premises is not an underlying assumption of the statement. Therefore, assumption 2 is not valid. Only assumption 1 is implicit. So the answer to question number 6 is 1. Now let us go to the next question, which is taken from Corporation Bank 2011. Farmers must immediately switch over to organic fertilizers from chemical fertilizers for better yield. This is the statement. What are the assumptions? All the farmers use only chemical fertilizers. Assumption 2, organic fertilizers are readily available to the farmers. We have to test both these assumptions and say which one is valid. Now let us read the assumption 1. The assumption 1 has got some keywords. All the farmers use only chemical fertilizers. The keyword is all and again only. It's an all-encompassive statement. From the statement, farmers are requested to immediately switch over from chemical fertilizer to organic fertilizer. How can you assume that all the farmers at present they are using only chemical? How do we know that? So it is a very far-fetched imaginary statement which cannot be an underlying an assumption. The key word here is all and only. All the farmers use only chemical fertilizers is a very far-fetched statement and it cannot be an underlying assumption. Therefore, it is not valid. Let us go to number 2. Organic fertilizers are readily available to the farmers. Is it an assumption of the statement? Let us go to the statement. What does the statement say? Farmers must immediately switch over to organic fertilizer. The key word here is immediately. The farmers are exhorted or requested to immediately switch over. If they are requested to immediately switch over, it means automatically that organic fertilizers are readily available. Therefore, assumption 2 is valid. Assumption 1 is not valid. Therefore, the answer to this question is 2. Only assumption 2 is valid. Let us go to question number 8, which is taken from Corporation Bank PO exam 2011. This is again an advertisement. An advertisement by Bank X. Our interest rates for educational loans are lower than any other bank. What are the underlying assumptions we have to test? Some other banks also provide educational loans. The second assumption we have to test is interest rates charged on educational loans are different for different banks. Let us try to answer this question. Some other banks also provide educational loans. This is an assumption. Is it an assumption or not? Let us go to the statement. What does the statement say? An advertisement by Bank X says our interest rates for education loans are lower than any other bank. The statement itself concedes that there are education loans given by other bank. What is stated in the statement cannot be disputed. Therefore, some other banks also provide educational loans is a valid assumption. Second, the second assumption, interest rates charged on educational loans are different for different banks. Again, we will go back to the statement. What does the statement say? Our interest rates for educational loans are lower than any other bank. That means the other banks must have some different interest rates. If all the interest rates are the same, this statement would not have been made. Therefore, the interest rates charged on education loans are different for a different bank is also implied in the statement. Therefore, both statements are correct. Answer for this question is 5. Both 1 and 2 are valid. Let us go to the next question. Question number 9, which is taken from United India Insurance AAO exam. It's a very interesting statement. Hungry stomachs do not understand high values and economic ethics. They will vote a man who gives them rice. A political analyst on why a particular party won the election. Now, the underlying assumptions which we have to test are a lot of people are hungry. Number 2, rice was not available previously. Now, let us look at the statement. The statement is by a political analyst on why a particular party won the election. People were hungry, they were given rice by a party, and the party who gave them rice won the election. That is why the statement says that hungry stomachs do not understand the high value, high ethical values and economic ethics, etc. They will vote for a man who gives them rice. Therefore, the statement itself implies that a lot of people were hungry. Because they were hungry, they were given rice, and therefore they have voted that party into power. That is what the statement says. Therefore, the first assumption, a lot of people are hungry, is valid. That is why the party won the election. Suppose all the people were satiated and living ensconced in a lot of comfort and they don't have any hunger. Probably rice would not have been a big inducement. Therefore, people must have been hungry. They were given rice. Therefore, the party won the election according to the statement. Therefore, assumption 1, a lot of people are hungry, is valid. Coming to the second, rice was not available previously. Again, go back to the statement which says people were hungry, they were given rice, and the party won the election. So, they were not having the rice. That is why they were remaining hungry. Therefore, rice was not available previously is also a valid statement. The party that provided rice won the election. Therefore, this is also a valid assumption. So, for question number 9, the answer is 5. Both assumption 1 and 2 are valid. Let us go to the next question. Question number 10, which is taken from Oriental Insurance AAO exam 2010. To increase profit, the oil exporting countries decided to reduce the production of crude by 5 million barrels per day. This is the statement. What are the assumptions? Assumption 1, the price of crude may increase due to less production. Assumption 2, other countries may continue buying crude from these countries. Now we have to test these two assumptions, whether they are valid or not. Now, let us go into the statement and find out the keywords. What is the keyword? To increase profit, the oil exporting countries decided to reduce production. The word decided means a considerable amount of deliberation has gone before that. And how they can make profit? The countries can make profit only if the price of crude increases. How to increase the price of crude? You could reduce supply. If your price has to increase, there are two ways in which price can increase. One, the demand should go up, or number two, the supply should come down. Now they are attacking the supply side. Now the price of crude may increase due to less production. This is what the assumption under which they are reducing the production itself. Therefore, assumption 1 is valid. Number 2, other countries may continue buying the crude from these countries. This must continue. Suppose other countries stopped buying crude because price increases, then there will be no demand. Therefore, this must also be a valid assumption under this statement. Other countries may continue buying crude from these countries. Only when other countries continue to buy crude from these countries, the price can go up and their profits can also go up. Therefore, both assumptions are valid. For question number 10, the answer is 5. Both 1 and 2 are valid.